Ladies and gents, here I am. The Bootneck has returned to you. Fear not, he has not been slain by the Reds. Hang on, I only limply jumped out the shower about 3 minutes ago, so I just need a drink. Hang on. There you go. There's nothing like a pint of your own piss after working out to really pep you up, refill you with electrolytes. It's an essential nutrient. Right, who's in? It's plenty already. You've missed me. Blue Van Man's in, all right, mate. Matt Oliver, Jeff Wedden, Scouse Orby, Sid Cannon, Whiskey Straight Al's in. I hope you're doing well, Al. Psycho, Rebel Frog Guy, Ginger Mongoose, Kirky Bally, Harold Stewart, Bongo Pongo, loads of you, Derek Thompson, Ragnar's in as well, Online Killer, Heather Mack, Harold Stewart, Carl Burton, Mark Thompson, Terry Wuckfit, Scott Lowerson, Frederick March, fuck me, all right, Store Down, Sped West, Bry Pace, Anglo-Saxon Aaron Williams, David Scobie, anyone I missed, how you doing? Right. Still got a bit of a cough, actually. It's weird, like I don't feel sick anymore, but I've got a bit of a cough. Maybe it's because I just went and did cardio. I told you guys the weird thing is I never cough when I drink or smoke cigars, but when I do hard fizz, I cough my guts up for a bit afterwards. Weird that, isn't it? I don't know if that proves that running's bad for you and smoking large cigars whilst drinking whiskey is good for you. But you got to go with your gut, haven't you? And it's only doing hill sprints that gives me a cough. Never smoking Cuban cigars. So who knows? With regards to the news, I haven't really had my finger on the pulse because I've been busy the last week. I will talk about the Queen, and I'm even going to say I can meet the Reds halfway and say, well, you know what I'm like, fence-sitting wanker that he is. The Bootneck's a tolerant chap. I don't agree with cancelling absolutely everything. My mate was whinging because the cricket's off, right? I understand it's a bit much to start cancelling everything just because a very nice old lady died. Because ultimately, when you're a stoic chap, you don't think life should stop completely if someone dies, and especially when they had a good long life. Like I've said, being a cynical, a cold realist, an ENTP logical type like me, I think it's only a real tragedy when someone very young dies. I think if you have a good innings and you get to 96 years old before you curl your toes up, there's nothing to be sad about. The Queen's life should be a celebration. And I don't agree with the endless whining. Do you know what I mean? People like Darren Grimes. You know, I like Darren Grimes because he's a working class northern lad. But I mean, he keeps saying on Twitter how he's bursting into tears all the time. And I think you can be a monarchist, a staunch monarchist like he is. Myself, no, I'm merely a reluctant monarchist. I think you can be a staunch monarchist without bursting into tears all the time. That I don't have any time for. So as usual, sort of got a reasonable centrist opinion. I do get where the Republicans are coming from. Certainly nobody should be above anybody else. If you're going to look at things from a coldly logical liberal point of view. But at the same time, it's tradition, isn't it? It's conservatism. The amount of Americans, in fact, let me segue into that because I'm sure I can find some good things on my Twitter that I've been arguing about with these fucking lunatics the last few days. Some of the lunacy that American Republicans have typed in the last few days, well, the last 24 hours, have been fucking just flat out ridiculous and wrong. One of the ones that made me laugh the most was that fucking, did everybody see that balmy bint from Carnegie Mellon talking about the Queen was like an enslaver and a rapist? It's like, hang on, she didn't rise to power until, when did the Queen take the throne? Again, I'm a reluctant monarchist because I'm a reluctant conservative. I don't absolutely love the royal family. So you'll have to tell me, when did she ascend to the throne? Was it like 1954 or something? It was after the Second World War, right? She was a young lass. She served her country in the war, and then she descended in 52, 53, whatever. I wasn't far off. 52. 52. Well, even Mark and Jeff don't know. One of the two. The point was, if she ascended to the throne in 1953, when we basically oversaw the complete dismantling of the British Empire, and because clever people had long had plans for slowly getting rid of the empire, because they saw what happened in the American Revolution. There was plans put in place after the American Revolution. Clever people were saying, you know what, if we don't manage this logically and come up with a solution whereby we hand power back to people gradually, we'll have a terrible relationship with our former dominions. And as the British Empire was probably the most civilized empire that's ever existed. And again, I'm sure some woke cunt would love to screen cap that and say, oh my God, look how much of a moron this guy is, to confirm their insane confirmation bias. But on the fucking face of it, the British Empire, because you can't call the American Empire an empire. The American Empire after the Second World War is the soft power of having more money in production than anybody else in the world. So the British Empire was the last real empire. And out of them all, there was certainly more civilized than any that came before them. That's just a fact. The British Empire was far more civilized than the French Empire, the Spanish. Look at the state of the places Spain left. I don't think it's hyperbolic or bias on behalf of the nation of my birth to say that, yeah, of all of the empires, and I mean, there's no point even entertaining any that were earlier. You've got the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Belgians, the Frogs, and the Brits. Let's just agree that all of the ones before them were much, much worse, right? Because you can't go back to the age of the Middle Ages or pre-European colonization and ever argue that they were more civilized then. They just weren't. You're not going to say the Romans or the Persians or the Egyptians or the Mongols were much, much, much better than the French or the Portuguese. You know, ultimately humanity has progressed. So it's correct to say that the British Empire was the most civilized real empire that's ever existed. Yeah, they did some bad things, but they did a lot of good things. They built for the future, unlike the fucking French and the Spanish who just fucked anything with a pulse. I mean, you can imagine the French. Hey, shall we build a hospital? Fuck it, let's go get some pussy. That's the French Empire. Fuck it, let's go get some pussy. I mean, you can understand the French being the way they are, but that's the French Empire in a nutshell. That's what you could put that on a t-shirt. Fuck it, fuck building hospitals. Let's go get some fucking minge. That's the French Empire. And the Spanish one is basically, we can't run a piss up in a brewery and we're a bunch of rabbit-eating fucking poverty-stricken peasants, so we just need to steal everything. The Spanish looted the fucking shit out of everything and the French just fucked everything. The British was the only one that did actually do some fucking building. They wrote constitutions. They built things. Tucker Carlson talking about the Bombay train station. It was very moving from Fox because no British conservative dare say it. It was like, think about it. The Bombay train station built by the British Empire is still one of the nicest buildings, public buildings in India. And none of their fucking public transport hubs since the British left have been better. So that's a proof, that's a living testimony to the British Empire. They built things, they did stuff. It wasn't all good, but it wasn't all bad. And that's all you say. But the commies, the fucking Reds, because they burn books, they are book burning commies, and they lie about everything. They won't have it. They will not have it. So they just spew bollocks like this. Look at this one. Queen Elizabeth was not universally loved in Africa. No one claims she was. My report on colonialism, fairy tales, and the Africans who refused to honor death. Yeah, well, this report is, he should fold his report up and shove it as far up his fucking ring as he can possibly get it, because everything he says is bollocks. I'm not going to make you sit through the full 2 minutes, but it's just a fiction, an outright fiction. And I responded to it and said, yes, she's only mourned by those that read a lot and know history, not the insane fictional communist rewriting of it after they've finished burning books. The Queen was dancing with black people in the 1950s when American presidents would balk at the idea. That's a fucking fact. Just Google it. There's famous pictures. The reason she is loved by a lot of people, not woke people, not communists, because they've had the fucking brains bashed out and replaced with dog shit. But any reasonable centrist, centre-left, you know, reasonable Republican even, reasonable Republicans, reasonable monarchists. Basically, like I said, it's about 85% of the world are civilized and reasonable, the Western world, and there's a 15% that are just brainwashed ideologues. Reasonable people, even if they're Republicans, like in the UK, like the Queen, the sort of go. Christopher Hitchens was a famous one, wasn't he, who was a Republican? But he always said, like, I'm the first to admit Queen Elizabeth's got plenty of charm. Because our president, all right, mate, glad you're doing well. I'm not in politics. Nice to see you both still around, lads. It's getting fucking dicey on here, isn't it? We're going to come to the crunch soon, I'm sure. Even Republicans, reasonable, civilized, centrist Republicans understand the charms of Queen Elizabeth because educated people were obviously whispering in her ear and they said to her, we've got to manage the decline of the British Empire. If we don't, it'll go to shit. You don't want a war like we had with the Americans. You want managed decline. And that's what it was. It was managed decline. A lot of people have disagreed about whether that was a good thing. Certainly a lot of old school conservatives were against the very idea of a managed decline, but that's what we did. And the Queen went round places like St. Vincent, St. Helena and Barbados and all of the former sons and daughters of the empire and shook everybody's hands and gave everybody a cuddle and danced with black heads of state in a time period in the fucking 50s and early 60s when the United States presidents would balk at the idea. They wouldn't do it because they knew it'd be unpopular. When degenerate, self-serving, thieving, self-serving scum like the current American president was in his 40s, he loved a bit of racist rhetoric. This was only fucking 40 years ago. He loved a bit of racist rhetoric, Joe Biden, when he was on the campaign trail, because he knew it looked good for him in blue-collar states in America. He loved a bit of racist fucking rhetoric, Joe Biden. Again, just go and have a look. The reason people like Biden are such fucking morons is because they still think the campaigning in the 1950s or 60s, they think it's the old days where you can go to one state, tell a load of lies, and then fly 4 hours across the country and go to another flyover state. And as long as the reporters are willing to toe the party line and just blatantly lie for you, you don't know what they've said. This is why Joe Biden, in fact, I might show you that. Let me have a look. Instagram, on it? I think it was Instagram. My missus sent me something. And hopefully the audio works. But this is my theory as to why they are such fucking morons. Hopefully the audio plays on this. Yeah, here we are. I'll share this with you. Hopefully you can hear the audio. But this is a good example of what I'm talking about. So these two videos were taken less than 24 hours apart. Is the fucking audio gone?
The very foundations of our republic.
Mr. President, do you consider all Trump supporters to be a threat to the country?
I don't consider any Trump supporter to be a threat to the country. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Mr. President, do you consider all Trump supporters to be a threat to the country?
I don't consider.
So did you guys get the audio for that? It's funny, isn't it, how Clinton pops up with the fucking Men in Black mind wipe thing. But if you didn't get the audio, I know because there's a bit of a delay. Basically, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, he goes on telly in front of a load of people. No, he didn't get the audio after. But basically, he goes on telly in front of a load of people. And he goes, Trump and all the MAGA Republicans and the Trump supporters are a clear and present threat to our democracy. We have to basically calls them fucking fascists. Yeah. And then 12 hours later, in front of another audience, maybe it's in a swing state, he's like, oh, I never said that. No, I don't consider any of them to be a threat to us. And this is what I'm talking. Okay, it's just Carlin. It's not most of you. This is what I'm talking about. Because they're living in the past. Living in the past where they think they can just totally fucking lie about everything and they're not going to get picked up for it. And obviously, when you did that in the 60s or the 70s, you get away with it. The 70s, people who were like younger than us, I'm 42 now. People a few years younger than me don't realize how different it was. Even in the 90s, when I was at school in the 90s, nobody had a mobile phone. Nobody had a mobile phone and the internet didn't exist. And those two things have completely took people like Joe Biden by surprise because he's thick, and he was thick when he was young. He was thick when he was 40. This is what I've said. If you watch him being ignorant, putting his foot in his mouth, saying dumb shit about Northern Ireland, historically inaccurate, incorrect things, he was thick when he was 45, Joe Biden. He was thick. If he was running for office in England when he was 45, we wouldn't have let him run a fucking bath. He wouldn't have been. If he walked into the local corner shop, Neely said something banned on YouTube there. If he went into the local corner shop, which again, even that shouldn't be banned, should it? It's just a contraction. It's weird how you can say Brit, but you can't say the P-bomb, isn't it? It's so weird. It's a contraction. If you went into the local corner shop for a fucking job, they wouldn't give him a job. You wouldn't trust that cunt to fucking... If you were Mr. Mukbar and he walked in and said, oh yeah, I want to work behind the sweet section, you wouldn't trust him to fucking weigh out black bullets, would you? You'd be like, oh no, I don't trust you to weigh out black bullets, son. You can fuck off. I'll tell you what, I might, as long as I can strap a map to your fucking head, I might trust you with a very short paper round, you thick cunt. That's what Mr. Mukbar had said to Joe Biden. The man's a fucking moron, and he was a moron when he was 40. But what I'm getting at is, this is why they lie so much, because it's crept up on all of these people. Anyone over the age of about 40. Because have you noticed this? I know Sadwings won't like it. But basically, AOC, at least, is savvy. Because she's younger, she knows how it works. Her campaign was exceptional. When you look at how cleverly she played social media and the internet to rally this voter base to turn out for her, a total unknown, and kick out the Democrats' big pick and somehow ascend to where she's got. You can call her a communist. She is a communist. You can call her teeth like a dead sheep, eat an apple through a tennis racket, fuck me, 4 pounds of ivory in your fucking skull, chomp her. You can call her all of that. But she is savvy. She's a modern politician. All the old guard are as thick as shit. Biden, Chuck Schumer, Pelosi, all of them. They haven't got a fucking clue. And even all the Republican ones, Lindsey Graham, fucking Mitch McConnell, a 10-chinned fucking turtle of a man. They don't know anything. They're still doing that. So they'll turn up in front of an audience, say one thing, fly for 4 hours, assume that nobody there has heard anything they said 4 hours ago, and just outright fucking lie to people in such a shameless and brazen manner. When you're like us and you actually pay attention, it makes you feel sick. It makes you feel sick how brazen they are. Like, you didn't know, did you, in the 70s? Because you were just like, no one had a mobile phone and you weren't there. So you just listen to what the press told you, and it was written down in a newspaper. When you see these people, it makes me sick how brazen they are. Joe Biden, he's a class example. When he was on the campaign trail, when he beat Trump, when he was on the campaign trail, you've all said, in fact, everyone in here, I'm sure most of you have seen the videos because you watch me. But for those of you that didn't, he literally turns up at a fucking blue-collar factory in Pennsylvania, and they're all there, all these hard hat wearing, rough and tumble steel workers. And one of them said to him, you said you were going to grab our guns, you. You said you're going to do this, and you're going to ban the ARs, and you're going to take long barrel weapons away, and you're going to invoke all these restrictions. And Joe Biden went, and he did his Joe Biden thing where he acts all aggressive because he knows he's not going to get his fucking slimy face punched in because he's got bodyguards. And he got all aggressive and outraged and went, I didn't say that. You're a liar. You're a goddamn liar. You're a two-faced pony soldier fucking liar. And the bloke went, oh yeah. And he pulled his fucking phone out and pressed play. He obviously was sensible enough to save it. And it was Joe Biden at a rally the day before going, damn right, we're going to take your guns. Yeah, we're going to take your guns. Because he was obviously in a blue as fuck state. And he's there. I think it might have been when he was there with Beto O'Rourke saying, yeah, we're going to take your guns. And he's the man that's going to do it. And they were like, yeah, yeah. And he goes to this fucking rally the next day in another state where it's a swing state and there's loads of Republicans. And the bloke just pulls out and plays it to him. And he's like, shits himself and walks off. Because he knows he's fucked. He's like, he's barefaced, brazen fucking liar. And again, I spit the word because I hate it. I hate misinformation, disinformation, mistruths. Ooh, I misspoke. Fucking liar. You're a fucking liar. I'm from a generation when you were told not to lie. If you lied, if your dad caught you lying, you used to get a slap around the fucking head. Don't tell lies, you lying little shit. That's what my generation got. It wasn't acceptable to lie all the time. He is a fucking liar. A dirty liar. A brazen, shameless liar. That's what the man is. So there's a good video for you. The bloke is a fucking worm. Did Trump lie? Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did. They all do. But the point I'm trying to make is, why is it okay when they do it? Trump would lie. He's a salesman. But he didn't lie as shamelessly as that cunt. And when that fucker does it, everybody, oh, no. Honest as the day is long, that cunt. He will piss in your face and tell you it's raining, Joe Biden. Man's a fucking worm. Yeah, so there's a good one. What else have we got? Let me go through a few tweets. I'll just do that for today because some of the stuff about the monarchy in the last 24 hours has made me fucking sick. Look at this one. So Daz Grimes put up Australia and the UAE with beautiful tributes, and this jock. Both these pieces of architecture were designed by Republicans that despise the monarchy. Oh, okay then. Oh, okay then. Checkmate. Like, what fucking planet are these people living on? When you go to the swimming baths, are you worried about the political leanings of the fucking architect? It's 2022. Any building that was designed in the last 20 years was designed by a postmodernist commie fuck. That's why they're all ugly. That's why a modern building looks like it was designed by committee. A modern building typically is a big glass dildo with fucking cubes stuck to it. That's a modern building. So we know what modern architects think. Thanks. Who cares? Fucking relevance it got. Both those pieces of architecture were designed by Republicans. And I said, this is relevant. Why? Do we normally care about the political opinions of architects? Why is every chippy Scot with a load of flags in the bio such a walking cliche? And this is the funny part. Because this is what I keep telling you guys. When a woke cunt says something, the second they tell you they're woke, you know what they think about everything. Everything. This is what I keep telling you why it's such a laugh talking to these people. Because the second they say something woke, you know what they think about everything. Everything. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about economics, socioeconomics, grand political ideologies. You could be talking about fucking whether or not they should go do another round of quantitative easing in Bulgaria. You know what they think. You know what they think about abortion, euthanasia, gun control, climate change. It doesn't matter. Because they're ideologically possessed is the technical term for it. They are ideologically possessed. Every single one of them is a clone. It's why the NPC meme was such a good one. You know what they think about everything. And how fucking boring are they? And just as the cherry on top, you know the one profession that I always take the piss out of with the woke. Because even the hobbies, they all share the hobbies. That's how fucked up they all are. Here, everybody's different. We all have different hobbies. We all like to do different things that was fucking spare time. These NPC clones, you know what they think about everything. Yeah, COVID response, pandemic response, Ukraine, Russia, economics, healthcare, everything, because they are fucking clones. But what's the one profession I always set the piss out of that they all do? You know what I'm going to say. As soon as you click on the fucking profile, yoga. It's like they even have the same hobbies. If you see someone with a fucking Scotland flag and an LGBT flag and a fucking EU flag, you know they're going to do yoga. That's how cliched these people are. It's great fun interacting with them on social media. I do encourage it. I don't tell people to do. I know a lot of right-wingers and conservatives and centrists have just lost the rag with Twitter and don't go on there anymore. I think it's fucking brilliant. It's an absolute barrel of laughs. You'll be rolling watching some of the abject shite these fucking maniacs put up on social media. But I knew as soon as you get one post off them, you know what it said. You know what it's going to say? Yoga socialism. It's like you're a fucking walking cliche. You are a walking cliche. Oh, rotten politics is suspended. Oh, of course he is. Well, I had over 1,000 followers on my Twitter account back in the day, and yeah, wiped it out. So you just have to crack on, don't you? Fuck them. Fuck them. Everyone's got 3 emails this day and age. Just make another one. But yeah, that's funny, isn't it? So that's the worst cliched, chaddest fucking tweet I've seen today. What else is good? Tucker's tribute to the Queen and the British Empire was brilliant. I'll share that in the...
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight.
I'll just get a link for you because it was so good. It wasn't even really a tribute to the Queen. It was more of a tribute to reality, because what the guy was saying was the commies just have a fictional version of history going on. They just lie constantly, and everything they say is bollocks. And he was telling you a reasonable tribute to the British Empire, saying, we've had our differences. We split off from the British Empire. Did the British lose the war for American independence and then bend their entire wills to somehow destroying them later? They didn't. They could have done. 100 years after the American Revolution, we could have had a massive all-out war with the Americans. We didn't. The American Empire, with the British Empire, was a civilized empire. They knew they had to slowly hand power back to everyone, and they gradually did it. And that's what the Queen oversaw. And anybody who calls her a slave-trading, genocidal, fucking warmongering lunatic is living in a fucking fantasy land. Everything they say is a lie. Everything they say is a lie. Jeremy Clarkson said, I've noticed there's so many people on Twitter are awful. That's true as well. I said, it's always the ones who call everyone else nasty and declare themselves kind and tolerant that are full-on fucking genocidal maniacs, isn't it? This is why whenever the commies take over, that there's mountains of skulls spring up around them, because the ones who talk the loudest. How many times have I told you this? All the girls in the chat know this. How many times have I told you? If you go on a date with a bloke that you meet on Tinder or whatever, ladies, whatever it is you use, and all he does is talk about feminism, equality for women, tolerance, more women. I love. I'm so respectful of women. He's the type of bloke who's got fucking little girls chained up in his fucking basement. If you go on a bloke like me, you meet a bloke like me on Tinder, and he'll be a bit rough around the edges, and he may occasionally say something that sounds a little bit sexist, and he might not think too much about what he's saying because he's honest. He's not hiding anything. If he's constantly going on, oh yeah, my feminism, my equal rights, he'll say anything to get you into bed. And then he's going to be like, do you remember on Me, Myself and Irene when he's shagging her and he's turned into like the evil one? He's going, that's how they'll be fucking you. One of these blokes who's going on about, oh, equal rights, man. Yeah, I love women. I respect women. When he's finally dug up you, he'll have his devil arms on. He'll be like, yeah, like cackling away while he's shagging you. These people are fucking freaks. Absolute freaks. And it's the same with that. They call the Tories the nasty party. Ooh, the nasty party. No. The Conservatives think the way they do because they think the best way to get people to have long, happy lives is to make sure that they're motivated to do some work. Thatcher's brand of liberal conservatism was kind. It motivated working people to try harder and to do better and to go and fucking work and get some exercise and get out the house and do something. The conservative ideology is a kind ideology because you think that's what's best for people. The communist ideology is an indoctrination camp that turns everybody into a boring cunt that even has the same fucking hobbies. They've got no life. They don't live to enjoy themselves. They live to indoctrinate and destroy. All the evil can do is destroy, warp everything good in the world. Like Tolkien said, the Reds are a detestable, vile bunch of people that practice a dishonest, history rewriting, book burning fucking ideology that leaves ruination and desolation and death in its wake. And yet they'll go on Twitter and say, we are the kind and tolerant ones. Dig up the old woman and fuck her. We are the kind, tolerant ones. We love, dig up the old woman, set her on fire, fucking cunt. Yeah, you sound kind and tolerant. You fucking sound kind and tolerant, you horrible, slimy, slithering cunt. This is why whenever they get a sniff of power, whenever they manage to slither the way into corridors of power, everybody dies. Bootneck's origin, Jack is Middlesbrough in the northeast of England, the black boxing, heroin, and illegal immigration capital of Britain. Yeah, not much to brag about. But it filled me with the joys of spring, because whenever I deployed to a war zone, it was always nicer than home. So, typical Bootneck ideology is glass half full. Glass half full. It's life enhancing, being born and raised in Middlesbrough and joining the Corps. Doing things like that gives you a nice low baseline for the rest of your life. Anyway, I'm going out because I'm going to lunch with my missus today, and that's much more pleasurable than talking to you bastards. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I have been working a lot lately, and I'm doing a few days next week, so I won't be able to stream every day, but I will make sure whenever I'm not there, I'll do a stream about 7 UK. Yeah, that's that. I will do some more videos. I'll try and get one done this weekend, and I'm trying to do it. Like I said, they do suck the morale out of you when they just constantly silence you and don't show your work to anybody. But I will keep at it because I'm a stubborn bastard. And yeah, no, it's basic because I'm a fat cunt. Oh yeah, you're right. All right, but yeah, I will be around a little bit infrequently, but I will make sure I keep posting content. So do check in every now and then, because Susan's not going to show you it, is she? Have a look on Twitter. I do go on there, Instagram as well sometimes, and Facebook. And yeah, everybody else, have a good weekend. Like I said, enjoy yourselves, have a drink, walk the dogs, play with the kids. Don't sit in on Twitter foaming at the fucking mouth, because we do this shit for fun, don't we? You don't want to turn into an ideologue like those on the far left, the woke twats. Have a good weekend, have a pint, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you all very, very shortly, all right? God bless her. I suppose we now have to get behind the jug-eared king. We'll see how that goes. All right. See you later, guys. Take it easy. Cheers.